Call Haloyim Yahweh, Bahasham, Mashiach Yahushai, Basham Hakodash, Barakatham. Shalom. This is your fellow servant Tazawar from the GMS Orlando. Came here with another lesson. First, I want to start off by giving all glory, honor, and praise unto Yahweh, Bahasham, Yahushai, Basham Hakodash. Double honors to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone, whom rule well, and from whom we learn His truth. Shalom to you, Akim, who are not in GMS, but are pushing likewise doctrine in spirit and in truth with all sincerity. To you few sisters that are listening and learning, as well as you speckled birds who are scattered among the nations, looking like those nations, to the 144,000 elect men and the rest of the hopeful elect, to you I say, Shalom. This video is inspired by a video that the young brother Ariyah put up called, I believe it was called Be Yourself and Find Balance. I don't know if I'm going to title this that lesson or not, but he put that up about a day ago or so, and it just had me. I did a lesson a while back, probably, I don't know, 9-10 months ago, maybe 8 or 9 months ago. How did I title it? It was concerning wisdom. I believe it was called First Comes Chastening, Then Wisdom, or something along those lines. It's in the video library. If you go into it and you search it, something along those lines, you can look it up. But it kind of reminded me of that video, so I wanted to, touch base or readdress, right, that talking point. Because as I just mentioned previously, I went into chastening first. In the other video I went into chastening, and then by that you gain understanding and then wisdom, right? So this one, I do want to address the balance thing, right? Find balance. Well, my mind immediately went to wisdom because it's hard, it's difficult, all right, for brothers to find, for anybody, not amongst the body, for people in general, to find balance without wisdom. We speak on wisdom a lot amongst the brotherhood, in the application thereof to your life, how to walk in your day-to-day, right? And we also speak on wisdom concerning the apostles and elders. And one of the things that constantly comes up is experience, right? Well, experience is how the elders and apostles gain their wisdom. So there's no amount of reading, right, or studying that you can do that trumps experience. This is true, and it's been proven through trial and error, right? Not even trial and error, but just this statement reigns true through the test of time. I guess that's the best way to put it. It's been proven through the apostles and the elders. All right. Particularly the men of GMS, those apostles and elders of Great Millstone. Because we've seen other camps, right? And their elders, whom 90% of learned under our elder, well, 99% of them learned under our elders in some form or fashion. And that 1% that hasn't, they probably on a whole different doctrine. Anyway, but we see this with the other camps, man. And a lot of it is because those men don't quite have the level of experience as the elders and apostles of GMS. Right? And I'm not saying that just because I'm part of GMS. All you got to do is look at the fruit of their labor. All right? And it speaks for itself. Okay? Because the elders and apostles have not changed their doctrine. They haven't switched up. They haven't fallen out of faith. Right? And they're steadily, even in their aged years, they still going out on the highways and byways, man. Getting it in. Right? But it really just had me thinking, like, balance requires wisdom. And maybe that's what I'll title this. Right? But again, you can only obtain that wisdom through lived experience. And not just any lived experience. Okay? Because there are plenty of, I'm not going to call them fools, I'll call them idiots. All right? People that don't know any better. That have gone through life doing the same old thing, whatever. They 50, 60, 65, 70 years old or older. Right? Or even some, closer to my peer group. 50 and under. 45, 40, 30, 35, 20, whatever. Okay? These people, or I'll just put it like this, people in the world have also made decisions, but they haven't utilized wisdom and or integrity and fairness. They haven't applied the scriptures to their lives. So when you consider the wisdom of the world in comparison to the wisdom of the application of the scriptures to your life, which that's the true wisdom, right? That's the wisdom that we want to garner. We want to grow in that, right? Gain that type of understanding and experience. Thus saith the Lord. Like, we want that type of experience. Thus saith the Lord experience. Like the apostles can quote things they probably forgot more than 90% of the population know. Okay? And it shows. It shows. But without further ado, I'm going to pull a script. And we're going to start with, let's go to Ecclesiasticus, or the book of Sirach, right? Chapter 25. We're going to start here and we may end up ending here in 25. So Ecclesiasticus chapter 25 and 3. Okay. If thou hast gathered nothing in thy youth, how canst thou find anything in thine age? And that's the question. If you ain't gathered anything in your youth, how can you find anything in your age? As you get up in years, how can you claim to have wisdom if you've gathered nothing? If you've gathered no understanding, no experiences, no application, no real world application, right? No trial and error, no tribulation, right? Experience is the best teacher. And if you don't have any of those things, then how can you judge? How can you judge a matter with no experience? Right? Very few are imparted the type of wisdom that Solomon was given. Okay? But Solomon watched his father reign. And you know that princes and royalty, princesses, princes, royalty, they're brought up under tutelage, right? They have counselors, people that that school them, pretty much, for lack of a better word. They give them training, okay, in certain matters. And they start off, small matters, and they move up as they garner experience and understanding, right, and application. But if that's true in the world, right, how much more is that true in the spirit and amongst the Lord's men? Right? It's even true among us, because the scriptures say, what about us, the laborers? Right? A heir be what? Roughly paraphrased, a heir to the kingdom of heaven is not much does not much differ than a child. Right? Roughly paraphrased. And so this is the process, because you have to, again, go through life experiences. You have to go through things in life to gain experience, so you can then garner wisdom to then find the proper balance. And these things come through trial and error. And the Lord sets it up uniquely for each brother, because each brother has different strengths. Each brother has different flaws and weaknesses, right? This is another beautiful thing about being part of a body, man. All right? When you put your brick into the church, into the temple. Okay? But again, remember this question. I'm going to read it one more time. Ecclesiasticus 25:3. If thou hast gathered nothing in thy youth, how canst thou find anything in thine age? Beautiful. All right. Now from there, we want Sirach chapter 1. And we're going to go to 4. We're going to breeze past the prologue and start at 4. Ecclesiasticus, or the book of Sirach, chapter 1 and 4. Wisdom hath been created before all things, and the understanding of prudence from everlasting. Right? So I'm going to read that again. Wisdom hath been created before all things, and the understanding of prudence from everlasting. The word of Yahweh Most High is the fountain of wisdom, and her ways are everlasting commandments. All right. To whom hath the root of wisdom been revealed? Or who hath known her wise counsels? Unto whom hath the knowledge of wisdom been made manifest? And who hath understood her great experience? right? Who hath understood her great experience? There is one wise and greatly to be feared, the Lord sitting upon his throne. He created her and saw her and numbered her and poured her out upon all his works. All right? Poured wisdom out upon all his works. This is why we can't comprehend the workings of the Lord, all the miracles and everything, the creation. We can't really comprehend. We don't know what it took to make everything. We have a very small fraction is not even a small enough. We have a modicum, a very minute understanding of what the Lord has put together. All right. And that is more than most, because many have no idea. And that's the scary part. All right. Verse 9, he created her and saw her and numbered her and poured her out upon all his works. She is with all flesh according to his gift, and he hath given her to them that love him. All right. So the Lord gives wisdom to those that love him. All right. That's pretty plain and simple. Let's go to, in fact, let me go move over to the blue letter. Get Proverbs chapter 2. Let's start at 1. My son, if thou wilt receive my words and hide my commandments with thee, so that thou incline thine ear unto wisdom and apply thine heart to understanding. Okay? Apply thine heart to understanding. And after we apply thine heart to understanding, then can we rightly discern matters, things of the world and spiritual things, right? Because understanding, again, I did a lesson going into the milk or sincerity, right? And going into like how the law in its purest form is the building blocks, basically, right, unto all things, because it's very black and white. It's cut and dry. It's straightforward, right? So, but if we can apply those things and then gain understanding, then we are able to have more balance in life. For instance, like the brothers go into about the dietary law, and it's very simple on why we are not to eat shellfish, right? So like when you fish out all of the clams and oysters out the water, not only are you ingesting abominable food, unclean food, it's not even food, you're ingesting unclean meat, right? But why does the Lord tell us not to do that? Because of their function, right? That's one reason. One reason is because of their function. They're filters, they're cleaners, right? Which means they pull in all of the bad shit and then they filter out the water. This is why the waters are dirty, especially when you get up to like that New England, New York area, Boston area, because they fishing out all of the water filtration system, the natural filtration system of the water, man, with the clams and oysters. Because that water, 100, 200 years ago wasn't murky and doo-doo brown colored, right? Got a nasty ass green algae tint, whatever color, gray. It ain't look like that. When the Native Americans had, the so-called Native Americans, they didn't eat that shit. So when the clams and oysters was in the water serving their purpose, the waters were cleaner for our drinking, right? Because think about it, you have die-off in the waters, naturally occurring. Animals fall in there, die, right? The sea creatures, fecal matter being there. And those filters are sucking all of that in, pumping all of that in, right? Filtering out. That's what they ingesting. And then you go and put that in your body. That's a very simple thing. But when you ask a slow belly in the world, somebody that's void of understanding, they gonna say, oh, the Lord just being a tyrant. It say all things are good to, good to eat long as you pray over it. It's all good. Right? But they don't have the mind of the Lord. That's a very carnal and prideful thought. Quite frankly, it's on the same lines as those guys in the WEF, and the Who that Noah Yuval Harari and all of that. Them peoples. You operating on their wavelength thinking like that. And that's something very simple. Right? But the Lord created it for a purpose. Just like swine, right? Earth cleaners. You don't see, look, there's cleaners in the oceans. In the bodies of water, you got cleaners. Shrimp, crab, lobster, clams, and oysters. You got cleaners on the earth, right? Swine, dogs, scavengers, right? You got cleaners of the fowl, right? Your flies, your vultures, your crows, right? These things are cleaners in their own dominion, in their own order, their own purpose, set up by the Heavenly Father in His wisdom. But here it is, people, in their pride, whatever, man. People in their pride speak against the Lord like they know better. Let's jump forward one chapter. Proverbs 1 and 2. To know wisdom and instruction, to perceive the words of understanding. Right? To receive the instruction of wisdom, to receive the instruction of wisdom, justice, and judgment, and equity. Right? Wisdom, look at these other words. Justice, which goes into fairness. Right? Equity is another synonym for fairness. And those two words are akin to what? Having a balance. Having balance in your life. The root word of justice is just, which means fair. Let's see what it say in the interlinear. Tazadak, right? Tazadak. Justice, righteousness, righteousness. Oh, it says righteousness. Oh, rightness, Salakia. Damn. Justice, rightness, righteousness. What is right or just or normal, rightness, justness of weights and measures, which goes into what? Balance. Right? Balance. So without these things, one can't find balance. And it's no wonder why the world is in its current state. Because the current rulers, the powers that be, don't have any of these virtues, man. That was justice. Let's see equity. Mayashar. Equity. Says what? Evenness. Evenness. Uprightness. Straightness. Equity. Evenness. Level. Smoothness. Uprightness. Equity. Rightly. Right? Uprightness and rightly are synonyms to what? Righteousness, right? Being upright. Man, I never looked that word up before. And the root word, yashar. To be right, be straight, be level, be upright, be just, be lawful, be smooth. It say to go straight, the straight gate, even though they spell straight differently. Straight gate, the narrow path, right? That straight is a different spelling. I just thought it was interesting, that word. To be straightforward, be upright. To lead, direct, lead straight along. All right, equity, man. I'm going to read that again. This is Proverbs 1 and 2. To know wisdom and instruction, right? To perceive the words of understanding. To receive the instruction of wisdom, justice, and judgment and equity. All right. So you got to, it tells you right here in verse 3 to be able to receive it, to receive the instruction, because you could hear it all day long. Hey, the brothers are proof of that, man, because week in and week out, brothers meet up on the highways and byways, pushing that word. And how many people hear the word and they keep it pushing? Or they hear the word and they just can't receive it. They may stop, but you got men that standing in front of you telling you, thus saith the Lord. But then you like, fuck that. Because your spirit got pricked. You got cut. So you like, I'm not accepting that. No, not my God. Not my Jesus. Well, again, Everybody can't receive wisdom. Everybody can't receive instruction. Everybody can't understand wisdom. You know? And we see that every week, man. This is Wisdom of Solomon, chapter 8. Let's start at 1. Wisdom reacheth from one end to another mightily, and sweetly doth she order all things. I loved her and sought her out from my youth. I desired to make her my spouse, and I was a lover of her beauty, in that she is conversant with God, with Yahweh. She magnifieth her nobility. Yea, the Lord of all things himself loved her. Right? I tell you what, when we Sirach 1 told you what? Wisdom was made before all things. Right? The Lord of all things loved her. The Lord of all things himself loved her. And what does it mean to be conversant? Right? Conversant means to have a conversation with. Right? To speak with. So wisdom is has the privilege of directly speaking with the source of all things, with the power that created it. Okay? Directly. It says conversant with Yahweh. That's why the statement that follows says she magnified her nobility. Because for you to even be able to go before the throne, man. Verse 4. For she is privy to the mysteries of the knowledge of God and a lover of his works. Right? If riches be a possession to be desired in this life, what is richer than wisdom that worketh all things? If prudence work, who of all that are is a more cunning workman than she? If a man love righteousness, her labors are virtues. And we read those virtues. See, we can get them again. Proverbs 1 and 3. 1 and 2. To know wisdom and instruction, to perceive the words of understanding, to receive the instruction of wisdom, right? Justice and judgment, and equity. And equity, right? Plus, the scriptures tell us what? Justice and judgment are the habitation of the Lord. Whoo. Slocky, let me find my. Verse 7. And if a man love righteousness, her labors are virtues, for she teacheth temperance and prudence, justice, there go that word again, and fortitude, right? For which are such things as men can have nothing more profitable in their life. So if you are tempered, you're prudent, you're fair, or you have just, you're just, and you got fortitude, right? Meaning you hold firm to what testicular fortitude. Standing on business, as they say. Fortitude, holding fast to that which is good. It says what? Which are such things as men can have nothing more profitable in their life. All right. If a man desire much experience, okay, because without experience, what? You don't get wisdom. If a man desire much experience, she knoweth things of old. How you know if things of old? You got to go through it. Things of old happened in the past. That's why it's called things of old. She knoweth things of old, and conjectureth aright what is to come. All right? Mean you know the things that have happened in the past, and the things that are to come, you can foresee them. Your conjecture, and you right? And conjectureth aright what is to come. She knoweth the subtleties of speeches, right? Meaning them wordsmiths, them crafty talkers can't, like the old heads used to say, you can't slick a can of oil. Can't slick a can of oil. You can't, hey, y'all know what it is. And can expound dark sentences. All right, that goes into the conjecturing aright what is to come. Being able to break down parables and understand prophecy and all of those things. Right? She foreseeth signs and wonders and the events of seasons and times. Therefore, I purpose to take her to me, to live with me, knowing that she would be a counselor of good things and a comfort in cares of grief. A counselor of good things, which means what? To counsel somebody. This is like we was just going into. The babes of royals, right? When you're in the highest state and you got royalties, you have counselors and caregivers that have watch over you, that have charge over you in your youth, right? And they give you counsel for your good, whether you like it or not. All right. It says, and that means in addition to, and a comfort in cares and grief. All right. And that's, this is why brethren have the mindset that they do. All right. And they got this mindset from the apostles. All right. The elder brother Nahalia always says that he quotes Elder Apostle Tahar all the time. Or was it Elder Apostle Gabar? One of the elder apostles said you have to learn to love to suffer. I believe that's Elder Apostle Tahar. It's coined with that phrase. Right? Have to learn to love to suffer, man. Because what? We know that this suffering is for a moment. But that which is to come is greater. Right? That's our comfort in our current estate of grief, man. But that's the balance. Because we have the hope while we have that hope while we're walking through this life in a low estate. And our eyes have been opened to why we're in a low estate. Right? And because of that knowledge and understanding, we're sorrowful for it, man. We're grieving. We're pissed off. It's a whole gamut of emotions that come with knowing we fumbled the rock and fucked up the bag. But that's the balance. But man, again, it's a difficult thing to grasp. It's elusive to many. Because since we've come into this truth, we look at people in the world that we may have held in high esteem, that we may have looked up to, and maybe they taught us some good principles about how to move in the world, right? or how to utilize certain tools in the world. But when you compare that to the scriptures and the wealth of knowledge and information and wisdom that's come down from the elder apostles on down to his men, to the leaders of his camp, to the newest members in the camp, to the brothers that's on the outside, to those behind the screens watching and listening, those of you that can glean wisdom from these men, right? Like I said, it's a trickle down effect, because each new person is entering into the labor of another man, right? Who ultimately goes back to the elders and apostles who entered into the labors of their elders. But again, that this wisdom far exceeds anything, any worldly wisdom that any person brings to you. It doesn't matter what their title or relationship is to you in the world. And that was a bitter pill for me to swallow. Like, damn, some of the people that I thought had things figured out, they really ain't got it. And now, they may look at me and be like, well, why you doing XYZ? And how come you doing this? And how come you doing that? They don't understand it. No matter how I slice it, they can't grasp it. Or they'll hit you with yeah, that's all fair and good, But and I done heard people tell me, oh, you gotta balance it out, And I'm I'm looking at them like, you right. I do gotta balance it out. How can I get more time with the brothers and less time away from you motherfuckers? I mean, more time away from you motherfuckers, more time with the brothers and less time with y'all. Right? But again, that is the challenge, man. The balance. But wisdom findeth a way. Wisdom findeth a way. And every man have his office and his measure. And like I stated in the previous video, we can't operate on our timeline. Everything is according to the timing and the will of the Heavenly Father, man. Hey, sometimes you just gotta, you gotta take the bitter with the sweet. And that too is balance. All right. And that wisdom comes from Job. He didn't say it that way, but roundabout, that's what he was saying. Shall we not receive good from the Lord and receive evil also? Roughly paraphrased. All right, the Lord giveth and he taketh away. There's that ideology is throughout the scriptures. So being able to understand that, though, in its true form, right, and apply that wisdom to your life, that'll help you with the balance thing. Anyway, I pray this lesson finds you well. I pray that it was edifying. Until next time, Shalom.